In a small, sun-scorched village, Elam struggled to survive. The relentless sun beat down on the cracked earth, and every day felt like a test of endurance. The air shimmered with heat, and the land itself seemed to groan beneath the weight of drought and despair. Each day he worked his barren land, his body aching, his spirit weary. The soil, once fertile and generous, now yielded little more than dust. Elam's hands, rough and calloused, bore witness to years of toil and disappointment. The well was nearly dry, the grain stores almost empty. Every drop of water was precious, every handful of grain carefully measured and rationed. Hunger gnawed at his belly, and thirst parched his lips. Meals were meager, dry bread and muddy water, reminders of his hardship. Each bite was a reminder of what had been lost and what little remained. The village was silent, hope fading with every cloudless day. The laughter and bustle that once filled the streets had vanished, replaced by a heavy, unspoken sorrow. Neighbors whispered of leaving, but Elam felt bound to his ancestral home. The thought of abandoning the land of his fathers filled him with dread, even as the future seemed uncertain. Each night he sat by a cold hearth, questioning his fate. The darkness pressed in, and the silence was broken only by the sound of his own thoughts. The weight of adversity pressed on him, making hope seem impossible. Doubt crept in, whispering that perhaps he should give up, that perhaps there was nothing left to fight for. The laughter of children and songs of harvest were only memories. Once the fields had echoed with joy and celebration, but now those sounds were ghosts, haunting the empty air. Elam longed for a sign, a reason to believe suffering would end. He searched the sky for clouds, for rain, for any hint that change might come. He yearned for more than food, he hungered for guidance. In his prayers he pleaded for wisdom, for strength, for a sense of purpose in the midst of struggle. The hardship was more than physical, it was a shadow over his soul. The struggle was not just for survival but for meaning, for hope, for faith that the darkness would not last forever. He felt lost, wandering a wilderness with no path. Each step forward was uncertain, and the horizon offered no promise of relief. The world seemed stripped of goodness, and despair grew. Even the plants, once green and thriving, now wilted under the relentless sun. Yet, deep inside, a stubborn ember of hope remained. It flickered in his heart, refusing to be extinguished by hardship or sorrow. Elam clung to the land, to the memory of better days. He remembered the stories of his ancestors, who had also faced hardship and endured. He waited, hungry for a whisper of encouragement. In the quiet moments he listened for the faintest sign that hope was not in vain. The bread of adversity was bitter, but he endured. Each day he chose to rise, to work, to hope, even when the world seemed determined to break him. In the silence, he listened for something, anything, to guide him. And though the answers did not come easily, Elam's heart remained open, waiting for the dawn that would surely follow even the longest night. One morning, as the first rays of sunlight crept over the rooftops, Elam noticed a stranger by the well, a figure he had never seen before in the village. The stranger was an old man named Silas, his white beard catching the golden light, his eyes reflecting a quiet wisdom. Silas was quiet, his presence calm amid the village's despair. He seemed untouched by the heaviness that weighed on everyone else, as if he carried a secret peace within him. He offered no grand solutions, only small acts of kindness. He helped the weak, shared his bread, and listened without judgment. Each gesture, though simple, brought a moment of comfort to those around him. His peace was contagious, a steady light in the darkness. Even the most troubled villagers felt a little lighter in his presence, as if hope was something they could touch. Elam watched Silas from a distance, drawn to his gentle strength and the way he moved through the village with quiet purpose. The villagers, lost in their own worries, barely noticed him. Their eyes were clouded by fear and uncertainty, too preoccupied to see the hope that Silas quietly offered. But Silas's action spoke louder than words. He became a silent force for good, his kindness rippling through the village in ways that words never could. He was a teacher, not by title, but by example. Through his actions he showed that even in the darkest times compassion could survive. His presence suggested that hope and goodness still existed, even when the world seemed bleak. For the first time in weeks the villagers began to look up, their faces softening with cautious optimism. Elam felt a seed of hope take root. He realized that perhaps the answer to their suffering was not in grand gestures, but in the quiet courage to care for one another. Perhaps Silas held wisdom for surviving hardship, a way to endure that did not depend on changing their circumstances, but on changing their hearts. The bitterness of adversity remained, but now there was a glimmer of light. The village, once shrouded in gloom, began to feel the warmth of hope returning. Elam resolved to speak with Silas, to seek the source of his peace. He wanted to understand how a single person could make such a difference. He wanted to learn how to find hope in darkness, and how to share that hope with others who needed it most. Silas's quiet strength was a promise that they were not alone. His silent support was a reminder that even in hardship, there was always someone who cared. The old man's presence was a subtle invitation to believe again, to trust that goodness could endure even in the hardest times. Elam's curiosity grew into determination. He felt a new sense of purpose stirring within him, a desire to learn and to help. He needed to understand how to endure, how to find strength when everything seemed lost, and how to pass that strength on to others. Elam was ready to listen, to open his heart to the wisdom Silas had to offer, and to discover the true meaning of hope. For years, the villagers felt abandoned, as if the world had turned its back on their small, sun-baked community. Their teachers seemed hidden behind hardship, their wisdom lost in the dust and silence of endless toil. Wisdom seemed distant, guidance a faint echo from the past, like a story half-remembered in the hush of evening. Elam remembered stories of wise teachers who once walked among the people, their words lighting the darkness like lanterns. But now, guidance felt out of reach, buried beneath drought and worry, as if hope itself had dried up with the wells. Then, one day, the arrival of Silas changed everything. He came quietly, unnoticed at first, a stranger among strangers. Suddenly the teacher was not a legend but a living presence by the well, his eyes kind and his words gentle. Anyone could approach him, ask questions, seek comfort, or simply sit in silence and feel understood. Guidance was no longer a memory but a possibility, alive in every conversation and every shared moment. Elam realized he'd been searching in the wrong places, looking for answers in the past instead of the present. Sometimes despair blinds us to the help that's right before us, making us overlook the gentle hands reaching out. Silas's quiet presence was a lesson in itself, teaching that wisdom often speaks in whispers, not shouts. Guidance doesn't always come with fanfare. It can arrive as a humble friend or a stranger who listens with patience. Elam learned that wisdom is often found in simple acts and quiet hearts, in kindness shared and burdens lifted together. The teacher was no longer hidden. He was among them, a part of their daily lives, shaping their days with hope. Elam's sense of wonder returned, his heart opening to the lessons unfolding all around him. He was ready to learn, knowing now that sometimes the greatest teachers are those who walk quietly beside us. A merchant arrived, offering grain and water in exchange for labor in a distant city. His promises tempted the desperate villagers: food, shelter, a new life. But the cost was abandoning their traditions and home. Excitement and fear swept through the village. Some packed to leave, eager for relief. Elam was torn, tempted by escape but uneasy about the price. He thought of his ancestors, of Silas's calm wisdom. The merchant's offer was loud and urgent. Silas's way was quiet and patient. Elam stood at a crossroads: follow the easy path or remain true to his roots. The choice was about more than survival. It was about identity. Would he chase a quick fix or seek a deeper truth? The decision weighed heavily on him. He longed for guidance more than ever. The village held its breath, waiting to see which path he'd choose. Elam knew this choice would shape his future. He needed clarity. Overwhelmed, Elam left the crowds and found Silas by the well. In the quiet, Silas's understanding gaze offered comfort. Elam sat, closing his eyes, wrestling with the choice before him. The merchant's promises echoed in his mind, but so did the call of home. In the silence, a gentle voice arose within. "This is the way, walk in it." The message was simple, cutting through confusion. It didn't promise ease, only the right path. Elam knew the voice pointed him home, not to the merchant's city. Clarity and peace replaced his turmoil. The burden of choice lifted, he felt resolved. The guidance came not from outside but from within. Elam stood, gratitude in his heart. Silas smiled, understanding. Elam returned to the village, purpose renewed. He was ready to walk his chosen path. With his decision made, Elam returned home. He gathered old tokens of superstition, stones and charms he'd once hoped would bring luck. They were relics of fear, not faith. Elam cast them into the fire, watching them turn to ash. He was letting go of false hopes and empty promises. The act was more than symbolic, it was a cleansing. He felt lighter, his mind clearer. By discarding these shadows, he made space for true guidance. Elam declared his trust in wisdom, not superstition. He was ready to move forward, free from the past. The fire's smoke rose, carrying away his doubts. Elam embraced the path he'd chosen. He was prepared for what lay ahead. The day after Elam cast away his false idols, clouds gathered. The air was heavy with promise. Villagers emerged, hope flickering in their eyes. The merchant, sensing change, quietly left. Then, rain began, soft, steady, life-giving. Elam felt the cool drops on his skin, the earth drinking deeply. The village rejoiced, tears mixing with rain. The drought was ending, the land was being renewed. The rain was a blessing, a response to their faith and choice. Wells filled, fields softened, and spirits lifted. The bread of adversity was being washed away. Elam slept to the lullaby of rain, heart full of gratitude. The hardest days were behind them. A new season had begun. The village was alive with hope. Renewal had come at last. In the weeks after the rain, the land flourished. Elam planted his saved seeds. Green shoots soon covered the fields. The village prospered. Crops thrived. Cattle grew strong. Rivers flowed. Laughter and song returned, echoing through the hills. Elam's meals were now hearty, his water sweet and clear. Blessings surrounded him, in the harvest, in his neighbor's joy. Silas walked among them, a gentle reminder of their journey. The transformation was profound, a testament to wise choices. By rejecting falsehood and listening to guidance, abundance followed. Peace settled over the village, deeper than full bellies. Elam knew he was on the right path. The land and their spirits were renewed. Harmony had returned. Elam's story is more than the end of a drought. It's a lesson in hope and trust. Even in darkness, guidance is near, sometimes in humble forms. We must look for wisdom amid hardship, and listen for the quiet voice within. The true path isn't always easy, but it's revealed to those who seek it. Letting go of false comforts is an act of liberation, not loss. When we trust inner guidance and choose wisely, blessings follow. The journey will have challenges, but we are never alone. Teachers appear when needed, and the right path opens before us. Faithfulness brings peace and renewal beyond imagination. The promise is not ease, but enduring guidance and abundance.
Have you ever felt that feeling? Like you're just a bit overwhelmed, maybe wading through some challenging stuff, and you're just desperate for some clear direction.
That real yearning for guidance.
Yeah. Or maybe it's simpler. Or maybe you're just aiming higher, wanting that feeling of really thriving.
Yeah.
Prosperity that feels deeper than just making ends meet.
That fundamental human desire for clarity, for abundance, it resonates with everyone, I think.
Absolutely. So for this deep dive, we're turning to a really fascinating source. It's an ancient text, biblical scripture, actually, yeah. Isaiah chapter 30, specifically verses 20 through 25.
A powerful passage.
It really is. And our mission today is basically to unpack this specific section. We want to pull out its core ideas, its promises about finding that guidance we talked about, getting through adversity, and ultimately finding a kind of abundance.
It lays out a kind of path, doesn't it? From hardship through a sort of turning point.
Exactly, a turning point, and then towards this place of, rich provision and real clarity. It feels like an ancient map for navigating tough times. Okay, so let's jump right in. Isaiah 30, verse 20, it hits you straight away. He says, the Lord gives you the bread of adversity and the water of affliction. That's pretty stark.
It is stark. And what's fascinating is that it doesn't try to sugarcoat it. There's no denial of hardship. It's presented almost as a given part of the landscape.
So it acknowledges the reality we all face sometimes.
Precisely. It's saying, okay, this is the context. Difficulty is here. But it's presented as the starting point for something else, not the final word.
Right. And that something else comes immediately, which is really interesting. Verse 21 pivots straight away, doesn't it? What's the promise there?
It's a powerful shift. Despite the adversity, it promises this unwavering guidance. It says, your teachers will not be moved into a corner anymore, but your eyes will see your teachers.
See your teachers. What does that imply?
Well, coupled with the next line, it's profound. Your ears will hear a word behind you saying, this is the way, walk in it whenever you turn to the right or whenever you turn to the left.
Wow. Okay, so not just general advice, but specific moment-by-moment direction.
Exactly. It's constant, it's clear, it's always there no matter which way you might turn or get distracted. It suggests you fundamentally can't lose your way if you're attuned to it.
Like an inner compass.
A perfect analogy. An inner compass providing real-time calibration, ensuring you find clarity even when everything outside is chaotic or confusing. It's not a map you consult occasionally, it's a live feed.
But it's not automatic, is it? The text seems to suggest there's something we need to do to really access or align with this guidance.
Yeah.
Verse 22 talks about idols.
Yes, this is the crucial next step. It says, you will also defile your silver-plated carved images and your molded gold-plated idols.
Now, are we talking literal gold statues here, or is it more symbolic?
I think it has to be broader than just literal statues, especially for a modern reader. It raises that important question. What are our idols? Meaning, what are the things we trust in, rely on, or give ultimate importance to instead of that true inner guidance? It could be anything: success, status, specific relationships, even rigid belief systems.
Things that distract us or we lean on falsely, false securities.
Exactly. Things that take precedence, that pull our focus away from the rightful path this guidance is offering. The text implies we need to actively identify and reject these.
And the language used for rejecting them is incredibly strong. It's not just putting them aside.
No, it's intense. You will throw them away like a menstrual cloth. You will say to them, away with you.
That's visceral imagery. It implies utter rejection, something seen as unclean.
It really does. It stresses a complete and definitive renunciation. There's no compromise here. And what's fascinating is the timing.
How so?
This act of rejecting the idols, this spiritual decluttering, seems to be presented as a necessary step before the full blessings unfold. It's like clearing the ground before planting. A shift in allegiance is required.
So, for you listening, maybe think about what might metaphorically represent those idols in your own life, those distractions or misplaced priorities holding you back.
It's a challenging but potentially liberating question.
Okay, so adversity acknowledged, guidance promised, distractions rejected. What comes next? What are the results of following this path?
Well, this is where the text paints a picture of really comprehensive abundance. Verses 23 onwards detail the blessings.
Tell us about them.
First, there's agricultural richness in verse 23. Then he will give rain for your seed, and the food, the produce of the land, will be rich and plentiful. So, basic sustenance, fertility, growth.
Okay, practical provision.
Yes, but it goes further. It includes prosperity for livestock.
Yeah.
In that day, your cattle will graze in large pastures, and then it gets really specific about the quality.
How so?
It says the oxen and donkeys working the ground will eat clean fodder, which has been winnowed with the shovel and with the fan.
Winnowed fodder. That sounds like premium feed.
Exactly. It's not just survival rations. It emphasizes quality, care, the best kind of provision for livelihood. It speaks to a flourishing ecosystem, not just scraping by.
That's a picture of real well-being. But then verse 25 throws in something quite unexpected, doesn't it? Alongside all this flourishing.
It does. This is maybe the most striking part. It promises water, but look at the context. And on the day of the great slaughter, when the towers fall, on every high mountain and on every high hill there will be rivers and streams of waters.
Rivers and streams, when towers are falling. During a great slaughter. That juxtaposition is powerful. What's the implication there?
It's incredibly profound. It suggests that this ultimate provision, this life-giving water, isn't just for peaceful times. It's promised precisely during times of massive upheaval, destruction, maybe even judgment.
So even when external structures collapse.
There's this extraordinary, almost miraculous source of sustenance and life available. It hints that true security and abundance might not come from the towers, the external systems we rely on, but from a deeper wellspring that's accessed, especially when those towers crumble.
It's a radical idea. That the deepest provision might emerge in the crisis, not just after it.
Yes. It speaks to sustained grace, enduring sustenance, even amidst dramatic, maybe world-altering change. It paints a picture of a truly resilient, flourishing life that transcends circumstances.
Okay, so let's quickly recap this journey through Isaiah 30, verses 20 to 25. It starts by looking hardship square in the eye, the bread of adversity, the water of affliction. No sugarcoating.
Right, acknowledging reality.
But then immediately, this incredible promise of constant personal guidance, your teacher's visible, that voice always there saying, this is the way.
That unwavering inner compass.
Which then calls for action from us, this really decisive rejection of the idols, the distractions and false securities we cling to.
That crucial step of renunciation.
And the result. a vision of comprehensive blessing, rich harvests, thriving livelihoods, high-quality provision,
Holistic well-being.
and perhaps most surprisingly, that promise of abundant, life-giving water, rivers, and streams appearing even when external structures, the towers, are falling.
Sustenance amidst the storm.
So it leaves us with a really provocative thought to chew on. Thinking about this ancient text today, how might we interpret those towers falling in our own lives, or maybe even in society at large right now?
What are the structures we see shaking?
And maybe more importantly, what does this scripture imply about finding those rivers and streams of water, those deep, enduring sources of life, hope, real provision even, or perhaps especially during times of great change or collapse? What does trusting this path truly look like when everything familiar seems to be shifting?